So Joe Biden is now a Freemason. This is a pretty odd and weird story. That is Joe Biden on the 19th, January the 19th, that is the day before Trump becomes president. So really as a president, we have one that becomes conferred upon him this particular position as a Mason. Let me just read a little bit from this particular article. It says that Joe Biden was issued the conference of Grand Master of Prince Hall Lodge Freemasonry, and stating that the Grand Lodge of South Carolina had conferred membership on President Joe Biden. And so just read a little bit of the article. This is President Joe Biden with Victor C. Major, the Worshipful Grand Master of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of South Carolina on January 9th, 2025. This is really weird. A couple of reasons why this is weird. One, because Joe Biden is a professed Catholic. Not whether it means anything or not to you all, but there's an issue with that because this is something that Catholics are not allowed to do. Catholics are forbidden from joining any Masonic lodge, and the penalty for doing so should be expulsion or excommunication. Now, I don't know that he's actually all that concerned about being a Catholic in good standing. As a matter of fact, he is not a Catholic in good standing, for whatever that means to you. But the question is going to be, though, what does this mean? Yeah, he's doing so on his way out. And then the interesting thing is that he joins up Prince Hall Lodge. These are the lodges that are primarily for black members of the Masonry, because there was a time where the founder of it, he could not join the lodge with the whites, and so he started his own. Okay, fine. I believe that this has its roots around the 1700s. If I can find, 1717 is when all of this started. Now, if you just go look up some of the symbols of Masonry, you see a lot of occultism in there. And the question is, how much of Masonry has to do with occultism? I think that any organization that is sort of a kind of a secret society, there's probably more than likely, I think it's a safe bet that there's some degree, probably some demonic influence with it, especially on the things that they kind of promote. Do I think this is a dangerous thing because he's a Mason? I don't know. Obviously, Masonry, those that are part of it, there's a level of secrecy, but there's also a level of community, and so they kind of look out for each other. If you are a Mason, let's say, and you're in trouble with the law, and you happen to be a Mason, the judge is also, the little signs that you would show to kind of let him know that you're one of his brothers. I have seen and even heard other people who have gotten in trouble and gotten off lightly, or have gotten favorable reviews from the judge in their rulings because of him being a Mason. And so there's certain things that just makes it just not an ideal thing. Matter of fact, really a sinful thing. Some of the things that they preach, that they teach, just simply go against Scripture. Matter of fact, let me read something from you. This is from a former Grand Master who makes this statement. He says that, as I'm reading this, he says, the lesson we teach is that the rough asher represents ourselves, rude and imperfect by nature, but that the perfect asher, a stone with smooth sides and square edges, is a state of perfection at which we hope to obtain by virtuous education, our own endeavors, and the blessings of God. And so what does that sound like? Well, it doesn't sound like Christianity. And so, for one reason, if you are a believer, you should have nothing to do with Freemasonry. One, because you don't get salvation through works. No, our salvation is not grown through.
Hey guys, my understanding of Freemasons extends to what I learned in National Treasure when I was in college, watching the fantastic Nicolas Cage movies, by the way, but I take it back. I've seen 1 and 2, so my understanding is pretty shallow still. That being said, I assume all of these guys that are president of the United States, important senators, lifelong career criminals, and by criminals, I mean politicians and statesmen, I assume they are in clubs far, far worse than whatever Freemasonry offers. I mean, if you want to get into Bohemian Grove and you wanted to get into those 4chan stories about what Bernie Sanders has had to do to young boys at times, like, we're talking Freemasons here, and I'm supposed to be like upset about this. It's a big club. You ain't in it. And the clubs that these guys are in, to be president of the United States, I already assumed you were a Freemason here. I imagine this video is just clickbait. Will Joe Biden be excommunicated for joining the Freemasons? If Joe Biden hasn't been excommunicated for allowing unlimited abortions or from imprisoning free, innocent American citizens or putting abortion protesters in prison or allowing the border to be wide open, resulting in the overdose death of hundreds of thousands of Americans, the rape and murder of young American women across the country here. Your standard of living has gone down. Joe Biden intentionally ruined this country and made your life worse. But sure, now we're going to talk about excommunication because he met with the Freemason Lodge in South Carolina. Like, sorry for not caring about this story. And like I said, even if he did get excommunicated, which he should be, it is a sin that Joe Biden calls himself a Catholic, the same thing that with Nancy Pelosi and all these other, again, stewards of our government, politicians, statesmen, these corrupt criminals go out there campaigning on their Catholicism, their religiosity, their religious beliefs, and then they're out there supporting Democrat policies. I don't know about you. It seems like you are taking the Lord's name in vain if you say, I'm a practicing Catholic. I believe in God. I believe in doing the right thing for humanity. And then you go out and run as a Democrat. So I'll let the big guy kind of parse through all that when they meet their maker eventually. But I did a story on excommunication where that is basically a meaningless word nowadays. Should he have been excommunicated? Yes. I mean, let's extend that to every Democrat, every Catholic that votes Democrat too. Like, you're going to vote Democrat as a Catholic, you're not a real Catholic then, as far as I'm concerned. But in terms of excommunication, we just did a story where Pope Francis booted out some guy that criticized him. Excommunication is the new, you're a fascist, you're a white supremacist, you're a racist. All they do, if they apply it to their political opponents or people that disagree with them, you've watered down the term so much that it is now meaningless. Racist, white supremacist, fascist. Yes, Donald Trump is such a fascist, like Ilhan Omar just said. He's trying to shrink the size of government. First time in human history that's ever happened. Oh, you're a dictator. You're a tyrant. Oh, you're giving me more freedom too and allowing me to keep more of my tax money. Oh, man, so tyrannical. And then you got Pope Francis over here. Oh, you can't criticize me, Mr. Woke Pope, head of the corrupt Vatican. Yeah, so you're excommunicated now. Take that. Like, it's all meaningless at this point. Excommunicated, Freemason here. I know we get ginned up, riled up, excited over these terms. We want there to be some connection with Joe Biden. We want there to be, rightfully so, a punishment for Joe Biden. He campaigned, he lied, he presided over these fake Catholic beliefs long enough. We want to see accountability and consequences and justice for this. But folks, there will be no justice in this life. Donald Trump will not go after Joe Biden. He will not go after the political opponents. They deserve to rot in prison. They deserve to go to Guantanamo. They deserve every punishment for treason that is on the books. They will not get it. We just have to accept that there will be a just afterlife. There is a just God watching over us. All of these murderous, communist, clown, corrupt, fool demons will get their desserts served in due time. But again, as far as this story here, Biden getting excommunicated for going to a Freemason lodge and becoming a Freemason, if that were all that we had about Joe Biden, I think we would be a lot happier and a much better off. Freemasons, don't get distracted by this. He is in far, far worse clubs.